Get started. Okay. So for practice today, if you tend to use any sort of props, grab them. Great. If you don't have any props, totally going to be fine. Not going to really mess you up. If you happen to have, though, some blocks, if you ever feel like the floor is a long ways away and you wish it were like up here, grab some blocks, or maybe have like a chair in front of you, or just don't be worried about putting your hands on the floor when we get there. You'll see what I mean when we get into that space. Hey, hi Sonia. So that'll be just our prop usage, and then I usually sit up on a little cushion or a folded up blanket, anything at all, just to kind of relax the hips. And it's Scorpio season, which has been like a big buzzword I've been hearing from everybody lately, and I'm just going to be very real with you. On the full moon, I've been seeing somebody, and then it all just completely burst into flames, and the way that it happened was very much like that kind of like Scorpio dagger tail kind of thing. It was a bit nuts, but I was just like, okay, well, I'm glad to be free of that now, and I'm like circulating through just some ideas and advice about this Scorpio season and how you can use that to really benefit you. And they were saying this is a good time to take a black candle and light it, and then write out all of the things about you that you would like to purge from your life, and then you can burn it, or you can just leave it by the candle and then get rid of it. And so I'm thinking about this and this ritual, and it's like doing that every year, it always is going to be a little bit different, because hopefully you're not writing the same list of things that you want to purge from your life. Hopefully we've got new things that we realize we are like, working through based on either external circumstances, or that we've hopefully already purged some of the less desirable things from our own existence. So I'm looking at this, I'm like, I don't have a black candle, but you know what I do have is I have some sage. So I go grab a whole big stick of sage, and I light it on fire, and I'm walking around my apartment, and then like, particularly like back in the bedroom, I'm just like, smoking everywhere, and I have no idea. Well, I do. My grandmother and I used to watch musicals all the time, and so I have that song from South Pacific, I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair, like that's playing in my head. I'm like dancing just to like have good vibes about it, and like rubbing sage around, and I'm like, is this like the way you do the ritual, where I'm singing, South Pacific, and I'm just like trying to do, fun, sexy little dances to keep myself in a good mood? And it's like, ritual, whether or not it has like the woo-woo to back it up, like whether or not you believe that lighting candles is going to inspire change, or whether a Scorpio season is a good time to work on any specific sort of self-work or energy, or whether or not you think that sage actually does clear things out. It's not whether or not the sage actually clears the stuff out, it's how do I feel about going through this gesture and ritual and motion. How does that clear me out and make me feel? Do I wander around with sage and just expect all of my problems to go away, or do I wander around with sage dancing and singing and setting the intention that I can move forward without that thing that I don't want to carry with me any longer? Really, that's the point, right? Like placebo effect. I don't really care if something like if I take a sugar pill and it makes my headache go away. I really do not care that it was a sugar pill. I care that the headache went away. And the practice of yoga, often people ask me, they're like, well, I'm not really into yoga, but I do like Pilates, or I do Tai Chi, or I just kind of prefer to like sit and meditate. Do you think any of these things are better than the other? Well, I have a hard time answering that, because really what you need to know is that you've found the thing that works for you. Whatever it is, whether it's, a power vinyasa practice in yoga, or restorative, or you just like to take a walk around the block and maybe have a little gratitude practice, whatever we can do to create this ritual of connecting with ourselves, of finding a little bit of movement and levity in the body, whatever we do to take care of ourselves that works, do that. Whatever I do to take care of and nourish, fuel, grow myself, do that. That's the best thing you can do. There's not like a best lineage of yoga. There's not a best way to meditate. There is what works. There is the ritual that resonates with us. So the ritual that we're going to engage in today is going to be from the Ashtanga yoga lineage and the Ashtanga sequence. And it's just because when I was first training in yoga, that was what we did a lot of. So it has that like ritual resonance. And I will also warn you, if you've heard the word Ashtanga and you get a little bit scared thinking that's like a really sweaty, intense thing, we're not going to do that version of the ritual. We're going to do a little bit more of like the dance and shake around, and probably not sing South Pacific, but, you know, listen to doom metal and move a little bit more slowly, and then end up just winding ourselves on down to the ground when we're done. So welcome to this ritual. Welcome to this little experiment. You're going to take your index finger and thumb together, and the little squishy spot at the bottom of your thumb, bring that to the center of your forehead and brush outward towards your temples a few times. This ritual of face brushing to relax the muscles in our face, the energies that we bring into the mat. And then go from the sides of your nose out to your temples, along your cheekbones. And from your temples down to your chin, along your jawline. And from the sides of your nose down to your chin, along your laugh line. And then take your fingertips and you're going to bring them underneath and behind your ears, massaging the soft spot that's back there. And then working upward from the soft spots to the bony spots, and then lifting up on the bony spots. And keeping that lift as you rest your hands down into your lap. If it feels comfortable to you, you can close your eyes, just taking a few deep breaths. Bringing a little bit more presence and purpose to your breath. You know, I spent most of my life saying I didn't believe in a lot of woo-woo and hocus pocus, and I'm not entirely sure that I do, but I do. I'm not entirely sure that I do now, but I do know that engaging in activities that help me to find peace and clarity and focus, activities that symbolize new beginnings and growth, these are wildly helpful, whether it's doing 25 jumping jacks or lighting a whole bunch of sage on fire. So what can we do that does work? What can we do that works for us? And take another deep breath in through your nose. Big exhale through your mouth. Again, like that. For 3 ohms. And start to open your eyes, and we're going to start standing today, which I know might be not quite what you expected, but that's where we're going. So start to lift yourself up, fancy yoga transitions, just stand up. And then you'll notice I have 2 yoga blocks out at the front of my space. And like I mentioned when I was first suggesting some possible prop usage, you might use them just putting your hands down onto them, or just not worry about bringing your hands all the way to the floor. So look down at your feet, see that they're about hip width distance apart. And by hip width, I always mean the bony parts of your hips, not whatever you think is accumulated on top of your bony parts. So stick with the bones and the toes face forward. Just reach your arms down by your sides. Let your palms face forward. If it feels comfortable, close your eyes. Find balance in your feet, standing in Tadasana, mountain pose. Beginning from this steady baseline position, just in that clean anatomic alignment of this human body you are occupying. Starting here and allowing yourself to layer on these little elements of suggested movement and breath, maybe creating a little ritual for yourself, maybe changing it up next time, maybe choosing to alter the suggestions that I'm giving to you so you can, sing whatever song makes sense to you while you run around your house with burning sage, whatever it is. So when you take your next breath in, lift your arms up. See yourself getting a little bit longer, reaching the fingertips up into the air. And then you're going to let your knees bend. Let yourself get nice and soft and come down into a forward fold. Now here's where you might bring your hands onto blocks or onto your shins or down. And you don't have to get all the way into a full fold. You're just going to let the body relax forward. That's the intention and direction here. And you're going to stay mostly forward folded, but we're going to come up halfway. And the only half that comes up, it's really like 3/4 of you is your heart, or 1/4 of you is your heart lifting up. So I'm going from this place where I'm folded down to then taking my heart and lifting it up. So long spine, reaching your ears away from your tailbone. So we have this lift, and then we soften again. Go ahead and soften down, fold inwards, try to relax your head. And from this folded, softened place, we're going to extend again. Stand up and reach your arms all the way up in the air. Take a big breath in. And then on your exhale, you'll soften. Go ahead and bring the hands down by your side. So we'll continue to flow in between those places. We have the extension and the softening, the extension and the softening, and just kind of moving gently through this little flow. Take an inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, soften and fold. Inhale, just the heart lifts up. Lengthen and strengthen your spine. Exhale, soften it back in. Inhale, stand all the way up. Reach your arms up. Exhale, let the hands come down by your sides. Again, inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, nice and long in your spine. Exhale, soften it down. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands come down right by your sides. Again, lift up, inhale. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, fold it down. And then inhale, reach your arms up again. Take the hands down by your sides. Let's do this twice on your own. And if you mess up, you're not messing up. These are just suggested movements. It's about you moving with your breath here. So you can take this whole pattern. You can pause where you want to. You can look at me and follow along. You can make it up. Keep moving your breath. One more time. Make sure you feel that lengthening and then the change to the softening. And come all the way up. And let your hands come down. So moving through just a couple rounds of those half glutes, getting the spine and the hamstrings warmed up. We're going to start to add some things on here. This time, take an inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold it down again, so very similar. Inhale, reach your heart up and forward. And then you're going to take your hands, you're going to bring them down, and you're going to step your feet back so that you come into a plank on your toes or a plank on your knees. You can be down on your knees, but still push strong into your hands, or you can be up onto your toes. Just take one more breath in, and then we'll lower the knees down and go ahead and pull your hips back into child's pose. You might wiggle your legs back or your hands back a little bit more. You might separate your knees a little bit. Try to relax your head down. Good. Take one more exhale and look forward. I'm going to pull yourself up and then step your feet up by your hands, which might be quite a lot of steps. With your hands out here in front of you, let yourself relax down. And then inhale, come halfway up, lift your heart. Exhale, soften it down. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up. And exhale, relax your arms down by your sides. So again, kind of like that. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold it down. Inhale, halfway up. And then you're going to take your hands, you're going to plant them down. This time, step back. You might go back to a plank. You might put your knees down. You might go back to child's pose like we just did, or you can go back to downward facing dog. So you've always got lots of options. You could be in this downward dog where I'm pushing my hips up. You could have very bent knees, or you could decide to settle back in child's pose. One more exhale. And then looking forward and walking your feet up to meet your hands, relaxing into this fold. Take an inhale to come halfway up, maybe bringing your fingertips up to block. Exhale, soften in again. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. And exhale, hands at your heart. We're going to do this just one more time. We won't have this flowing through the whole thing, but just to get a little bit warmer. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold it down. Inhale, heart coming up and forward. Exhale, hands come down, walk your feet back a couple of times until you find yourself either in down dog or lowering your knees and coming back to child's pose, or maybe you just hang out hands and knees for a moment just to breathe. Try to relax the muscles in the back of your neck. Give yourself one more breath out. And then looking forward and bringing your feet up to your hands, coming back to that forward fold. So inhale to come halfway up. Exhale, fold it down. And then inhale, stand all the way up, lift your arms. And exhale, bring your hands down into your heart. So bring your feet together so that the big toe edges touch. And then bring your hands to your hips. We're going to pull back in the hips, coming into chair pose or fierce pose. I've got my hips back behind my feet. Can leave my hands at my hips. Can take my hands to my heart or reach the arms out long. And they can be wider too if your shoulders are feeling cranky. Right. And then you're going to transfer the weight onto your right foot. Take that left foot and creep it back a little bit or a lot of it, finding warrior one. My front leg is bent, my back leg is back with the toes at an angle. I'm going to reach from the heart up to my fingertips with just as much lift as when I had my 2 feet together, which is the way I'm used to standing. Big breath in, big breath out. And one more inhale. And then exhale, lean forward. Reaching your arms like this is going to be the spicy variation. Bringing your hands into your heart is going to give you a little bit more control. Your front leg is already bent, like it's already in chair pose. You're just going to take the back leg up to meet it. You can have a couple of hops if you want. Just come back here into chair pose. And then we'll switch sides, and you can do it with your arms out. If you're feeling spicy, we take the right leg back, putting the heel down, and then lift the arms up. Keep reaching up long in your spine. Push down into the front foot. Check out and make sure that your knee and your toes are all going in the same direction. One more breath in. And then exhale, lean forward. Maybe with your hands at your heart, maybe with your arms out. The worst thing that can happen is you miss, right? And then take the back foot and step it up into chair pose. And then relax your hips back just a little bit more. Exhale and inhale, stand it up. And then we're going to relax the arms all the way down by our sides, returning to that Tadasana, that anatomic alignment, that baseline position. And you're going to take a big step out so that your legs are out wide. Now, I will say, if you have two blocks and you wanted to bring a block by each end of your mat, then that could be a good way that you just have it around in case you want it, or just not worry about putting your hand all the way at the ground, because that's not necessary or important. It's just going where it makes sense to you, having this ritual of stretching your body, not mine and not whoever else's you see up on the screen. So we're going to go into warrior two. Take your front knee, turn it in, your back knee, your back leg, turn it out, or turn it in. Everything's that direction. Okay, words are hard. Good. From here, straighten your front leg, and then you're going to take this little shift into your hip, so I kind of bounce into that back hip, and then come out into triangle pose. Reach your heart up to your hands. And now if I wanted to take the block and bring it down underneath my hand, I could. I have many settings for the block. I might not use the block. Awesome. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then take this top hand down, lift yourself up. We're going to switch sides. You might need to move things, scoot your block. Bend into the front knee, come into warrior two. This is a good way to set yourself up and space yourself out when you find that knee bent over the ankle on the front leg. And then straighten the leg, shift your hips back, and come out into triangle pose. So you've got blocks, you've got legs, you've got floors. You might be up here, just honoring your hamstrings. Still breathing. One more exhale. And standing yourself up. And switching your feet back over towards your right side if you're mirroring me. We're going to bend into that front knee. We'll take the elbow down and the top arm up and over. Now you can stay here in the elbow, but don't stay here in the elbow. Lift out of that shoulder, or you can put a block underneath your hand or go down lower. It's up to you. I like to relax the shoulder forward slightly. You've got the arm back here, or you can have the arm forward a little bit more. Notice my chest is still very open to you. One more exhale. And then reach up, stand up, might scoot your block over. We're going to switch feet again. No, there's a lot of it. So we come into warrior two, and from here, bringing the elbow down and the top arm over. This hand could go down further or come to a block. Honestly, the highest setting on the block is about the same as having your elbow up, so it might just feel different, not having to bear that weight down on your leg. could be worth experimenting with. Good. Big breath in. Big breath out. And start to lift yourself back up. And we're going to switch feet again. Okay. When you switch the feet, now you're going to have to adjust things a little bit. I want you to widen your legs. Okay. And then bring your hands to your hips and turn your heart forward. Okay. You've got many options. You can take the opposite hand and drop it over as long as your knee doesn't fall in. And as long as your knee doesn't fall in, you could also take the opposite elbow down, and you can leave your hand at your hip, or you can put hand on hand and have this twisting lunge, softening your belly. One more exhale. And then put your hand back at your hip, unwind your elbow, take yourself all the way back up. And you're going to switch your feet. And when you switch your feet, you have to re-widen again, and then bend into the front knee. Turn your hips to face on that short end. Lean forward, maybe a hand here, maybe an elbow here, maybe a palm to palm. And what I mean by soften your belly is to let your insides get squishy and relaxed so you have more space to twist around them. Pull your right or your front hip towards your back foot. One more exhale. And then hand to your hip and arm off the leg. Go ahead and unwind yourself. And we're going to switch one more time around those feet. Now, you could grab your blocks and bring them both towards that front space, or just have the one block, or not worry about getting hands to the ground or hands to blocks. But I'm going to square off my space, and I'm going to keep my legs straight. And then I'm going to come forward either here, say, well, that's enough. I can take one hand down to tall blocks, two hands down to tall blocks. They can go lower. And then rather than rounding in, can you lengthen your heart? And that might mean that you come up a lot. You don't need to worry about how far down we get. Here's another thing. That's like that whole idea of what is useful and what is effective. The purpose of doing this is not to like wrap your torso into your leg. The purpose of doing these poses and these folds is to relax the muscles on the back and the back of the leg. If this is really tense, then we're not really getting into the point of it. If this is a little bit more opening, then better to be up here, yeah? Okay, I will add it in one extra thing. You're gonna look over, so if you have your right leg forward, look to the right. If that's going well, you might take your right hand up to your right hip. If that's going well, you might start turning your heart over towards the right side. Let your inside soften. If that's still going well, you might take your right arm up in the air, and it's not at 6 o'clock probably doesn't get up quite that high. One more exhale. And then take both hands down. Bend your knees a little bit, give yourself some room to come all the way up. And then we're gonna switch to the other side. And you're saying, April, usually we start down on the ground and we spend all of this time rolling around before we get up and we get more intense. We're starting up and we're creating a little bit more heat, especially this time of year. We might be a little bit cold and bound up as the seasons are changing. So we're building some heat, doing some slightly stronger stuff. We'll work down pretty soon. Go ahead and take your hands down. Try to keep your legs long. Again, that can be here. And that's it. That's as far as you have to go. If you get to a point where you feel a stretch, you've made it. That's the place you should be. Long spine. Staying with the breath. One more round of breath. And then you might look over. If this is your left leg that's forward, you might look to the left. You might take your left hand up to your left hip. You might start turning your heart over more towards the left. Reaching the arm up doesn't do a whole lot besides maybe confuse you. So if this is strenuous or just makes you feel a little bit weird in your back, then leave your hand at your hip. One more exhale. And then release that. You're going to come back to the center. Go ahead and stand yourself up. Bring your feet towards each other. In fact, go ahead and stand easy with the feet underneath the hips. Coming back to this anatomic alignment, maybe closing your eyes if that helps you to bring your awareness inwards. Sensing what's going on in the body, noticing if any of it feels a little different from when we began. And then we're going to go into two types of forward folds. Neither of them are probably going to have your legs straight. They could be straight, they could not be straight, so don't worry about it. What you're going to do first is you're going to take your peace fingers, bring them together, and you're going to try to bring these peace fingers around your big toes, which might mean that you are bent all the way back here. You might have straighter legs, you might not. And rather than trying to curl yourself in, and you lift your chest up, even with your knees like really, really bent. Good. And then see if you can find your breath again. Good. Release your fingertips. Come halfway up, breathe in. Exhale, now relaxing down. And then stand all the way up. Reach your arms up. Bring your hands down into your heart. We're going to go once more. This time, you're going to take your hands and try to bring them palms up underneath your feet. So you're going to stand on your hands, which again might mean that you have very, very, very bent knees. So you can even start with them very bent and then try to get your toes on top of your palms. And then you're going to do a little like wiggling around in your feet, massaging your hands and also massaging the muscles in your feet, and then sneaking in a little extra hip and hammy work. One more exhale. And then releasing your hands, we're going to come halfway up, let that heart lift forward. Exhale, soften it down, and then stand all the way up again. Reach your arms up. And then find that settling back into that baseline, that first base, that Tadasana mountain pose. Okay. When we do standing balances, the idea is hopefully I can take that steadiness in mountain pose and keep that steadiness when I do all sorts of other weird, crazy things with the body. That's the idea. And then real life inserts itself. So if we find ourselves falling over, that's just what happens. But if we try to bring that same sense of stability and mountain into the pose, maybe it'll work out for us. We're going to take a couple standing balances. First thing is tree pose. You can have your toes on the ground or on the dog. If you can get it up to your calf, there's this little feeling of lengthening the knee away from you that will lift up the front of the hips. You can have the foot up higher. I'm not even going to do it. Just stay right here because I want to try to find that steadiness in my standing leg, growing up from that steady foundation. You might have to come out of it and come back into it. That's okay. Finding your breath. One more exhale. And then relax that foot down. Give a little bounce into your hips. And we're going to shift to the other side. If you were really sitting down here and it feels very tender, then on the other side, you're really going to want to think of lifting up and out of that. So really standing up on that tall mountain space. Let's pick the other leg up. It can be up to your calf. It can be higher. You can go for it. I'm just going to stay right here. And have your hands at your heart. Maybe changing it up by having your arms down like mountain pose. Maybe that is a choice that helps to bring a little bit more of that stabilizing energy into this pose. Good. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then relax your leg and relax yourself back to center. The next, this is my second favorite thing to say in Sanskrit. Uttita Hasta Padangustasana is the series of poses we're going to do. I'm going to try to go fast because I know you don't want to hold them a really long time, but we're going to do all 4 of them. Here's the thing. Uttita means extended. So we had mountain pose that was right here. And then this Uttita Hastasana, extending the hands to the sky. So if you can take that Uttita into this pose, it's going to help, because it really sucks to have your leg up and then do all sorts of weird things and then like get down here. It is a little bit more spacious, it is a little bit more free in the body to try to be up here as you move. Finding a little bit more power in the space in the body. So I'm going to just stand one way so that I'm hopefully making sense. And then you're going to find that Uttita, find yourself extending up, and then you're going to summon your right knee up, and you can hold on to it with 2 hands or hold on to it with 1 hand and reach the other arm up. So I want to square everything forward, lift your toes, don't let that foot be dead weight. And then you're going to keep Uttita, keep extended, and then turn your knee out to the side. And then try to keep extended. Okay, there's the second one. Hopefully you're still breathing. The third one's really short. You're just going to reach down and try to kiss your knee, which is going to impact your balance, but improve it because you're challenging yourself. Good. And then you're going to extend your leg out in front of you, and you could tap your heel on the ground, or you can lift it up. Good. Lift up a little bit longer through that center. And then release your foot and release your arms down. So really good for building up these stabilizers in our glutes and keeping us able to be standing for ages and ages and ages. And then we will Uttita Hasta Padangustasana all on the other side. So you're going to take this knee, summon it up into your chest, get yourself long, maybe take the opposite arm up. Finding the breath. If you look at something that's not moving, it tends to help. And then opening your knee out to the side. Woo. Keep extended. And then you're going to bring the knee forward, try to reach in and kiss your knee. And then extend your leg out. And the heel could be on the ground, but stay strong on the standing leg. Think of taking up space, extending. One more big breath in. And then take the foot down and release your arms down by your side. Coming back to mountain pose, back to Tadasana. Okay. We got one more thing for us to do while standing. We're going to take the feet out wide. We've got 4 variations of this as we go. If you want to stick with any of the ones that make a lot of sense to you, great, do that. First thing that we're going to do is just come forward in whatever way makes sense. You bring your hands down here or to blocks or to the floor, and then go ahead and relax yourself in. And just taking your hands down wherever it makes sense. You've got a little bit more space to open up in your hamstrings. Try to push more into your toes than your heels. One more exhale. Maybe a little bend in your knees. Bring your hands to your hips. Stand yourself up. Okay. So this next one, you can take your hands down or you can leave your hands at your hips, but you got to pull your elbows back. And I want you to try to come forward like you have a friend who's holding onto your elbows and you're trying to check out the view over like a cliff. But it's a really good friend and they're holding on to you and they're very, very strong. So you're very safe, but they're going to hold your elbows back. And then you're going to start with your heart coming forward, checking out the view. Maybe it's like the view just over the edge of your mat. And then you notice whether or not you're still breathing with this breathtaking view out in front of you. Good. One more exhale. And draw that belly in, stand yourself up. Okay, you can do that again. Maybe now you try it, now that you've seen what it looks like, maybe you take the hands down this time, or take your arms and interlace them, your fingers behind your back. Start with bent elbows, come forward with bent elbows. You can leave the hands there, or start to extend the arms up and away from your back. Try to relax your head. Even if you're not totally dropping your head, can you find a way to relax the muscles behind your neck so you're not so tight there? Your head will remain attached. I'm very bad at keeping track of mine, and it is still there. I've lost the faith yours will remain attached. One more exhale. And then relax your arms, draw your belly in, gently bring yourself back up. Release your arms. We've got one more. You've got that whole little assortment of things you can return to. If there was something useful, you want to do it again, great. Other option is you've got your peace fingers to bring them together, and we're going to hook them around the toes, the big toes. And if you use that to pull yourself inwards, if you've got room to pull yourself inwards, this impacts your balance. It's a weird place to be. Try not to hunt your shoulders up to your ears. Try instead to expand and open that chest. One more breath out. And then release the hands from the toes. Bring yourself back in. Bring your feet back in, gracefully or not so much. And then come back to mountain pose. Come back to Tadasana. We're going to take that little, kind of like that flow that we did at the beginning of practice. We're going to take that to get us down to the ground. I'm going to lead you into a plank and a down dog for a little while. You can do your plank on your knees. You can do child's pose instead of downward facing dog. So I'm going to come back towards the front of my space. Take a nice big breath in, lift the arms, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift the heart, halfway up, and then fold down, bend your knees, plant your hands. You're going to step back into a plank, and you could be on your knees. We're just going to take 2 deep breaths. Big breath in. Exhale, and pull your hips back. So you're either going back into down dog, or you pull back into child's pose. If you're in down dog, make sure you're pushing from your heart into your hands, strong in the shoulders. Try to relax the back of your neck. One more exhale. And then look forward. So you add yourself up in down dog, lower your knees. If you were down in child's pose, start to lift yourself up. And then you're going to swing your legs out in front of you. And come on out. If you know that your body just does not want the forward fold, grab like a little cushion or something and have that handy. And I will tell you, you want to have it like halfway on your butt. See, like most of my butt is not even covered by the shorts. So I don't have the pillow all the way under my butt. I just want to have it like a little bit underneath the back part because it helps to tilt the pelvis forward. So that might be what you do. When I was in utero, I was like extremely breech, like extremely folded in half. And so I wonder if that's why like forward folds are easy for me, but most bodies were just not built like that. So you fold however you want to fold. We're going to start off though in staff pose. Take your hands down by your sides, lift your toes, and you're going to engage your quadriceps muscles. They start to get a little bit shaky. You might feel a little bit of heat in your calves as well. We're going to press the palms down, wrap your belly into your spine. You see that even with the big heavy sweater, there was a drawing in. I'm going to lift my heart right up into the top of my rib cage. Broaden my collarbones, keep pushing the hands down, energize the feet and the calves and the thighs, lifting up from behind my ears. Maybe getting a little bit shaky. Trying to keep that steadiness in your breath. Big breath in. Exhale, relax. And then in that softness, in that relaxing, come forward into a fold. And don't worry about how far you get. You're here to relax the hamstrings and relax the back. So let yourself soften inward, softening forward. Checking in with the muscles in the back of your neck, trying to relax them. One more exhale. And start to walk those hands back in towards you. You're going to take the hands back behind you and bend into your knees and put your feet on the floor. You can leave your hips down. We'll push the heart up and forward. Or if you like, so that's a bit of a heart opener. If you want a little bit more, you're going to push into the seat and lift your hips up into altar pose. Now let's go for just one more breath wherever you're at. And exhale and gently lower those hips down. Extend your legs out and start to stack yourself up. You might adjust the flesh or adjust the pillow, the cushion, the towel, whatever you happen to be sitting on. And then take your right leg, you're going to pull it in. You can leave it here or you can cross it over. I'm going to hug this thigh with my left arm and bring my right hand in right behind me. My spine stays straight up and down. Lift the left toes. It's going to help to inspire your spine to be lifted as well. And then soften your belly as you twist over towards the right. Broadening your chest, softening your gut. One more exhale. And release your twist. You're going to take your right leg, unwind it, extend it, and then bring your left leg in. And you can leave it here or you can cross it over depending on how that feels in your knees. Right toes are lifted. Hug the left thigh. Left hand in nice and close. Lift up as you breathe in. Every exhale, let your belly get softer. One more round of breath. Soften that center. And then release the twist. Unwind your leg. You're going to bring your right leg in. This time the foot is in and the knee is out. And this leg could get very bent, especially if you have any sort of pressure or pinching in the lower back. You're going to come out over this leg as much as is easy and soft. So you've sensed this, I hope, kind of exchange in the energy we've been having, these expansions and extensions, and then these softenings inward. We're softening inward everywhere in this shape. Big breath in. Big breath out. And start to lift yourself up. We're just going to switch legs. And take my left leg in, let the right one out. You might have to readjust flesh, different positioning of the legs and the body, and then come forward into this fold. See if on the next exhale you can find something to relax and soften. Thank you, Jessica. And then start to lift yourself up out of this fold. We're going to take both legs in. Bring the feet together. Put your hands around your feet or around your shins, and you're going to lift your chest up. So finding this extension, lengthening your spine. You might bring your heart a little bit further forward. Hi. I bring my heart to you, Miss Jezebel. Oh, thank you. Okay. Okay. Take 2 more breaths. And then back off a little bit. You might take your feet and bring them out a little bit further. You might have some different spacing there, depending on where the Chihuahua needs to go. And then you're going to take a different energy into it, softening forward. Thank you. No, I'm okay. Thank you. And let yourself rest forward. One more exhale. And then start to pick yourself up. And you're going to take your feet out wider here. So I'm just going to show from the front. I'm going to come into a squat here. If you wanted to, you could come up into a squat with your hips off of the ground. And it's up to you which way you want to go with that. But deep hip opening, pressing those elbows out wide, feeling the backs of the ears get further away from your upper butt. Your upper butt is exactly where you think it is. One more exhale. And then by whatever means necessary, you're going to come forward onto your hands and knees. So many of us that'll be swinging the legs back behind us and coming out into this table pose. And then take your right arm, slide it underneath, come down onto the side of your shoulder, the side of your head. I like coming up onto fingertips here. You might prefer to take a hand behind your back or walk the arm over, but I like the stability and the gentle shift, just coming up onto fingertips. One more exhale. Then bring the palm planted back down on the left hand. Unwind your right arm, and then take your left arm and slide it underneath. So you come down onto the outside of your shoulder, rest your head, and then choosing what to do with your right hand, which is to leave it there, or come to fingertips, or walk it out, or wrap it back, or create an interpretive dance. Always good to make this practice your own. In practice of yoga, we say tapas, which is the continuous application of heat and pressure. It's making a ritual out of it. Our yoga practice becomes a ritual, even when it doesn't always happen exactly the same every week. It's a ritual. It's a thing we return to. One more exhale, and then plant your right hand down, unwind for your left hand, and then work through a few cat and cow. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, rounding back in your spine. Just go with your own breath. Mr. Iyengar, one of our teachers, he said it's never the same pose twice. And he very much taught tapas and repetition and ritual, but it's never the same pose again. The ritual adapts, our experience adapts. That's how we know we're still growing. Take one more round. And then return to neutral. You're going to come down onto your forearms. I'm going to take your fingers and bring them to your elbows. And if you can touch your elbows with the opposite elbow with each hand, then that's good spacing for your elbows. And then you're going to make a little basket for your with your hands here. Now, if you have a headstand practice that is really awesome on your own, and you don't need my cues, and if you want to move to a wall, you can do that, but like totally up to you. This would be a good place to insert a headstand. I'm not going to lead you through a headstand. I'm going to lead you through a dolphin. So you want to push down into your forearms. You feel how your heart press up and back in your ribs there. So we're going to keep lifting in the chest. Relax your head. And then scoot your knees a little bit closer. And you can stay here. This is good pressure to apply to align shoulders, and it tends to be very helpful around rotator cuff stuff. Or you can lift your knees up and come into dolphin dog. Now, if I let my head come down, it might touch, it might not. It definitely doesn't have any pressure in it, though, because I'm using my arms to support me. And if I'm asking you to be here too long, you honor that and bring your knees back down. But maybe you can stay here for 2 more deep breaths. Exhale. Lower your knees down if they were up. Come back up onto your hands. And then you're going to swing your legs back around and come back to a seat. Put my legs out here. I'm going to come down onto my forearms again, but they're going to come back and behind me. I'm going to press down into my forearms so my chest lifts up into fish pose. So feeling again the heart lifting up because we press down into the floor. And big breath in. And then exhale, soften, widen your elbows, come down onto your back. Bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little rock around. Massaging into the lower back. And then widen your knees out, reach your hands up and catch the outsides of your feet in happy baby. And you can rock around a little bit. You can hold behind your knees if that feels better than trying to reach up for your feet. Offer yourself permission to release control over your hips. All of the tension in your pelvis, because we've all got it, give it permission to relax. Rather than forcing it, give it the freedom to release, to let go. One more exhale. And then release your feet, bring your knees back in. You can roll yourself over to your side or just rock yourself up to a seat. And then come into crisscross applesauce or half lotus or full lotus, or if you need to extend your legs out in front of you, just nice and long, and maybe support yourself with your hands on the earth or the floor beside you, unless you're outside. I don't know. People online, maybe you took this out to the park. Most of the ones of us are going to try to rest with the spine sitting up tall of its own accord, and then let the palms face up. And if your spine does not easily stack up on its own accord and you need your hands here, then you are giving yourself what you need. You're offering yourself the tools to allow your spine to be tall. I don't care whether it's a sugar pill or a real tool, or it's my hands down by my sides, or it's just the ease with which I can rest my hands here. However it works, the spine is long, the breath is steady, and just take a moment to settle with this long spine, to examine the breath, to examine this body that we have been getting a little wild with over the last hour or so. Noticing how things may have changed. This ritual may already have had a positive effect, even before we got to nap time. Just take another nice deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then starting to unwind your legs. If they've been wound up, we're going to come down onto our backs once again. This will be the last time coming down to our backs today. So if you have something you want to have handy for Shavasana, coming down there. And then resting with your feet on the floor, hip width apart, up nice and close to your hip, arms down by your side. We're going to wiggle the shoulders underneath the heart, so your heart starts to lift up a little bit, and then push into your feet and into your arms so that your hips lift up. Then see if you can wiggle your shoulder blades in a little bit further. You can take your hands to support your hips, or your hands interlaced underneath your back. See if you can lift your heart up to your nose. Take a breath in, and then relax your shoulders and let your spine come back down. We're going to do that 2 more times. If at any point you have a wheel practice and you want to do wheel on your own, knowing that that's a good, easy thing for your body to do, great. We're all going to talk through bridge pose 2 more times. So pushing into the feet, see if you can wiggle those shoulders in a little bit more once you get there, and then maybe holding hands, maybe holding the floor, maybe holding your hips. Now this time, push a little bit more into the big toe edges of your feet, because probably your feet rolled open a little bit. It happens. You're going to remain engaged and powerful in your own body, your own meat suit, to get those in the big toes pressing down. Inhale, and then relax your shoulders and allow yourself to soften back down to the floor. I'm going to go up 1 more time. Push into the feet, lift the hips. See if you can snuggle the shoulders in again. And then once you push into the big toes, now you're going to think of the kneecaps trying to reach forward and your heart trying to pull, or it's like the heart's going to fall out of your rib cage right into your nostrils. It's going to plop back in your face. Big inhale. Relax your shoulders. Release the hips down. And start to bring your knees into your chest. Open your arms and let your knees roll over to one side. Just resting your body in this rotation. Your legs can be much further away from your torso. They don't have to be tightly wrapped in. Finding a place that feels good in your body, that feels nourishing and relaxing. One more breath out. And then moving over towards the other side, just finding a twist that feels similarly. Not exact. Your body's not symmetrical. Your twists are not going to be symmetrical perfectly. One more exhale. And then returning to the center, set your feet on the floor, bring your arms in by your sides. And then another one of those small snuggles of shoulder blades together. So just enough to give your heart a little bit more room to be open in the front. You can stay here with the knees bent against each other. You could come back up and do a seated meditation instead. And we'll extend the legs out, let the feet flap open and settle into Shavasana. Allowing these few minutes to rest and be soft with ourselves before we wrap up practice together. Enjoy. Start to come back to your body. Maybe wiggling your fingers or toes, or take some deeper breaths. Starting to come back into some awareness, maybe a little bit more energy that you feel. It can be nice to reach the arms over the head. A good morning stretch, a whole new start to your day, no matter what time it happens to be. And when you're ready, rolling over onto your favorite side, just turn it. You're ready, coming up and finding your own version of a comfortable seat, just however it makes sense to you. And perhaps this seat allows you to bring your hands together at your heart. And feel our practice by releasing an Om together. Big breath in. Om. Bowing down to the love, the light, and the darkness that resides within each of our hearts. Namaste. Ooh, sticky dog collars. We're chilling our mellow over here. Thank you so much, everybody. Let me know if you have questions about anything, if you need anything. Yeah, I think all the links and stuff are on the event page, and then Australian folks, you guys are all sorted out with AWS. So, hey, Sonia, you made it. Hi.